Hello and welcome to Media City Bergen. It's summertime and that means Media Tech on stage for the second time this year. And heading towards midsummer, it's the long days and it's the bright evenings and the short nights here up in north. And we have a famous Norwegian song saying that we should not waste the summer night because she's too bright for that. And that means, what do you do when you're not sleeping? Maybe you have a romance, at least for sure we are connecting. And this is what we need to do in these 2 days. This event, today and tomorrow, connect to each other. 21 startups displaying their ideas. And we have potential customers, investors, tech companies, partners, and other who are interested in this field. So my name is Arne Møller. I come from a startup myself called SpeakLab, and my partner Siri, not Apple Siri, but Siri in SpeakLab, we have been so lucky supporting these startups with their pitches, which you soon will see. But I am not an expert. I'm not a technologist. I'm a physiotherapist and a former professional football player, so I don't know too much about technology. So we need to have some experts in the studio. And the first one you'll meet, she has a long experience from different or the biggest media houses in Norway. She is in the biggest financial newspaper in Norway at the moment, called Dagens Næringsliv, or just DN. And she has a background in journalism, but you have a big heart for technology too, Ingeborg.
I'd say that's a big understatement. Yeah, I was happy enough to sort of fall into the internet when I was about 16, and having already planned to go into journalism, I've worked at the cross-section of journalism and tech for the past 20 years or so, and I still have this idea that we need to make sure that journalism benefits from the technological development that we are seeing all around us.
Yeah, and that's a lot of things going on at the moment, I guess.
There's so much exciting going on, from personalization and AI for metadata, to recommendation engines, to transcription tech. So much fun going on. So I'm looking so much forward to seeing the pitches.
Great. And this is 𝗗𝗲𝗄𝗏. I forgot to say your second name, of course, you had to say that. But we have another guy with us too. And he is not just, his background is not from journalism, but this guy, Petter Ole Jacobsen from Vizrt, he had done what you should do now. He made a startup which has grown quite big. And Petter Ole, you are a technologist with a passion for journalism.
Absolutely. I think, the day I could quit working as a developer in a bank and actually be employed in the news department working with technology, that was pretty much my dream come true. Combining these things has always been the most fun. And I think that the fact that we actually did combine journalism with technology is a good reason we exist today.
Yeah, and you are a co-founder of the Vizrt, and tell us just in a few sentences, you started in the 90s?
We started in 1997, that is, TV2 Norway started in 1992, and we grew out of that. We actually, while in the news department, we sell software to other media companies, which wasn't not the core business of a news department, but we grew out of that. So the birth came through TV2 Norway, like many other startups, by the way.
And now you are all over the globe with your stuff.
We do, and if I say one thing about that is that the proudest moment I have is always the US election, not because of the content and who wins, but at that point, if anyone on the globe watches the news, the election, the chance that they're watching us is like 95% globally. So we're completely dominant on especially high-end visualizations.
So nice to have you here with us in the studio. And these two experts will come with comments and from their views to what we will see coming up in the pitches. And we are excited to look forward to see what's coming up, because I know, because I've seen them, that you have a lot of interesting and really nice ideas there. So let's start. We have divided these pitches into, or the startups, into 5 categories, 5 groups. And the first one is a group with just 3 pitches. But before we start, you have the possibility now just to go into the deal room, and if you find something interesting, you can find that person, that participant, and then you just click on the button where you see they are waving with their hands, and you book a meeting. You can do that all through this session, this day, and even tomorrow. So use the opportunity. So let's have a look at the first 3 videos. Human-machine interaction. 3 pitches coming up. Pay attention to them closely, because they are just 1 minute each. So pay attention, and if you find something interesting, maybe this is one for you. Let's have a look.
Hey, do you think AI is gonna take our jobs one day? I certainly hope so. But, all kidding aside, there is so much visual content, and manually managing all this content is getting almost impossible. As a media company, you will need the help of AI eventually. We know AI can be very complex and intimidating, but you actually don't need to worry about that. We give you the simplest platform to A, know what's going on in your images and videos, and B, give you all the tools to tailor the AI models to your specific company needs. My name is Alex, and for more information, feel free to visit us at 𝗙𝗲𝗄𝗏.ai.
When you watch a horse race, imagine you have bet on a horse. But it is so hard to spot your horse. Many times you even miss your horse until the end. Well, you lose the race. This is so frustrating, but it means a huge loss for a $1,000 billion market. We want to change this. Clap automatically track and highlight horses so anyone can follow their horse. Same thing we can do for soccer, biking, and other sports. With augmented reality, Clap transforms the way we live sport. I am Olivier, and I'm very excited to discuss the next opportunity with you.
There are more than 400 million people paying for music services, and most of them say they would switch to another service if it had better search functionality. That's a huge potential for disruption and a huge potential for you to win revenue. And that's where we come in. Hi, I'm David. I'm a musicologist, data scientist, and co-founder of MusicCube, and we make it easy to discover music. We trained an AI that listens to audio files and generates data like genre, mood, instruments, musical features, and much more. For example, if you are a streaming service or TV station, you can make your search completely free, like, let's say, jazz from southern Spain with a trumpet but without female vocals, or just relaxed songs with Beyoncé. You can try this out on www.musicq.be, and we are currently raising a seed round and are open for investments. Please get in touch with us. Thanks.
These were the 3 first pitches. And Peter Ole, I have to ask you, do you bet on horses?
I probably could with that system, but because that looks very interesting. But horses is not my favorite animal there is. But what I do agree on is that the ability to track things on video is a beautiful field. And there's a lot of activity on it, but it is certainly a valid field. Don't you think so?
I absolutely think so, and I'm not a horse race kind of person myself, but again, if I were able to more easily follow the horses throughout a race, I might actually be able to understand it. Not unlike my take on American football, mind you.
But here we also hear about tracking in different ways. In music, it's a lot of data and also horses and sports and so on. Is tracking, is that something that will be more into the industry?
I see tracking coming up a whole lot, as well as analyzing the different layers of media files, whether they be audio or visuals, because there are so many applications potential for this sort of technology. And it might not only be for the media industry, even though it would be really helpful to be able to say, oh, I want that horse as it crosses the finish line, please return it in my search right now. But it might also be for, well, the legitimate kinds of surveillance, how to spot people moving across stages. There's so many possible uses for such technology.
It is already used all over the place. Take soccer fields. You have gone from manual people sitting at the stadium trying to track exactly what each player are doing, and that is now being done with help of AI tools, and that is not finished. There's so much more to go. But I think the general tone of here was that to say that it's all about creating metadata, whether it's tracking a player and finding out what he does, or you're finding out about music. It's the general thing that if you have content and you don't have metadata on it, you have nothing. So the value of these, the general thing we can do now with getting and generating metadata on video in general is super key. Also because content is just increasing in amount so much.
Yeah, and also I'm really fond of course, sports, but also music. So see, where can we use this? Do you see there is a market for this music thing here from MusicCube?
Well, I suppose if you were a recording or a videographer editing a video, or even a podcast, and you were looking for the right kind of mood music, it's really hard to go beyond your own knowledge or beyond your own library of music. So anything that's able to say, I want something kind of scary that sounds a little bit Finnish, that would be cool.
And I think it's great because it may not be that 100% of Earth's population would want to do that, but enough will be wanting to do that, I'm pretty sure of. That makes it viable.
Interesting. Thank you. Let's have a look at the next videos. Protection of personal data and data in general. And in this group, we also have 3 pitches coming up. Let's have a look at those.
Privacy. Do you believe in it? Do you truly believe in users' right to actually own, control, and even monetize their data? Memorial Network is an ecosystem of different tools that allow the users to collect the data they generate in internet or on their mobile devices into their own devices in encrypted way, and after that, with their consent, they can participate in different kinds of data mining, surveys, marketing researches, and get paid for that. We are using some very interesting technologies like homomorphic encryption, zero-knowledge proof, secure multi-part computations, blockchain, and smart contracts to ensure that no raw data and no personal data is transmitted in this process, and all that the companies get is only anonymized, aggregated result over the computation of the user's data, not the actual data itself. So what are the benefits of our system? For the users, they can actually own and control their own data, and for the businesses, full GDPR compliance. Come and join us.
Hi, I'm Katrina Dow, the founder and CEO of Meeco. We all have a digital twin, and every day our digital twins generate valuable data required to deliver digital services. Meeco provides the tools to help your customers access their data, protect their data, and exchange their data in a transparent and compliant way. Today, we have leading banks like KBC, startups like My Life Capsule, and media platforms such as Mixit for Kids using Meeco to deliver empowering personal data applications to their customers. We've been recognized and awarded globally for our technology, along with our vision to enable everyone to get equity and value in exchange for the data they share. We'd love to talk to you about how 𝗏𝗏 can help you lay the foundations for trust and data collaboration. Thank you.
Getting to know your customers is key to success, but it's very hard to do as getting access to their data in a legal way is a hassle, as regulations are getting more and more restrictive. So you spend a lot of resources trying to get this data. We have a solution for you. I'm 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗃, co-founder of 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and we have developed what we call the digital twins of the end users, meaning a safe and simple way for you to access and use the personal data that they create on other platforms, such as what they watch on Netflix or listen to on Spotify. So what is it that we do? We let you question your users' digital twins to provide them with tailored recommendations based on their tastes, while always preserving the privacy. How so? Because the data remains on their side, so it is safe, legal, and you get the information that you need to personalize their digital experiences. We are 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
These three startups had a different approach to it, haven't they, Ingeborg?
Yeah, but I think I see we are coming on to sort of two approaches that kind of address the same, or two sides of the same problem. The first is the idea that all your data are floating around the internet and you have no control of what happens and you feel a little bit haunted by who knows everything about me. That was regulated in the EU under the GDPR rules, and they are a big leap forward. But I think a lot of regulators and a lot of tech people have been frustrated that people don't actually take control over their own data, even though the rules allow them to. So what I think is really interesting here is we're starting to see some user-friendly approaches to how I, as a person, can control my own data and possibly even monetize it. And that user-friendliness is a new shift that possibly could actually change something of that.
So GDPR as a business model, or yeah.
Yeah, or privacy as a business model for myself, or selling my own data as I see fit. And the other part coming on is that you see a lot of the big tech suppliers, and particularly the hardware suppliers and the App Store regulators, are starting to block cookies and traditional tracking, and you see a lot of us in commercial media industry businesses are going to have a hard time what should I say, utilizing the advertising market the way we've grown accustomed to. So anything that sort of facilitates that transaction between me as a seller of my data and, well, my business as a user of those data to sell advertising to the right person without being creepy is interesting.
But I do think the GDPR is kind of a reason for all this happening, and a good reason, and it shows that regulation can be part of creating new companies, and maybe even that Europe is ahead this time, ahead of the US, ahead of Asia, in things that probably bound to come there as well. So this might be a very interesting area for startups, I do think.
Yeah, because what we are seeing internationally is that a lot of big players are starting to see that, okay, the European level regulation on privacy will be sort of a baseline or a best practice and something that we need to be able to apply. So I think European startups taking advantage of the GDPR rules might have products that might be able to scale across other markets with even less strict rules, simply because the big players are starting to adhere to those.
And I mean, it's just gone downhill until now, hasn't it? I mean, in terms of our data just being sold by everybody else and ourselves all around the world without us knowing. This is sort of the first signs of real hope and improvements in this area. So I like it very much.
Yeah, because people don't know how much information, maybe personal data, that are out there. No?
Or you've just given up.
Yeah,
so this might not be the solution, but we're seeing
on the other
signs of
hand,
it.
I'm not sure if you're so happy about it because you live by this data, don't you?
Yeah. Well, to some extent, but then again, we see that there's a whole big difference between the data people are happy to share with people they trust, like some of these companies are tailoring their business to, and that sort of data creepiness of my data is in places I don't know and I have no control.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big difference.
Yeah, because it's, as you say, we feel, and me as a user, I just feel I have given up, because when I have all this text that I have to agree on, I mean, I have to do it just to have a look at the...
Don't you read it all the time?
No. I must admit that I don't, just to buy a ticket or buy something, I cannot read that every time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's impossible. But so also for me as a user, I feel this is something that's interesting, that comes up in this way, because yeah, we can scream about it and say, hey, somebody has to do something, but here there are people that want to do something about it.
And you also see this point of user friendliness actually being a key to making a viable business, which is something I think a lot of the pitching companies here today should take note of, is that the technology might be there, the regulation might be there, but until you have the user-friendly service, it's not actually a business.
Exactly. Thank you. And if you have found something that caught your attention in these first 6 pitches, you just go to Deal Room, and just remind you to make or book a meeting with somebody you like to talk to. So just a reminder. Let's jump to the biggest group in this startups. Let's have a look at those 2. And in this group, we have 10 startups coming up, and that's the category of data-driven media industry. And to do it a little bit easy for you, we have divided them into 2 groups. So we start with first 5 pitches. So we try to control them in a way so we can adapt what they are saying. So let's have a look at the first 5.
Are you in a love or hate relationship with your comment section? Number of comments give you info that you have loyal users, but often you don't have enough resources for comments moderation. So why are comments important in the first place? Readers who comment are 7 times more engaged and even 5 times more likely to buy. So if you're not targeting them, basically it means you're losing money every day. Solution by 𝗙 gives you new revenue by promoting related articles, by placing targeted ads, and by placing targeted subscription calls. All that is based on linguistic analysis of user comments without using any private data. Just a look and feel for a sec. We as a team are friends for more than 15 years, and we are news junkies. And we truly believe that new revenue from 𝗙 can be used for promoting independent journalism.
Did you know that on a daily basis, thousands of hours of videos are being recorded and stored online? For companies that already have thousands of hours of videos in their media libraries, imagine just how long it takes their staff to find that specific video where Bill Gates mentions climate change or appears on screen. With current solutions, it could take them hours, days, or never. With our solution, it only takes them a matter of seconds. Hi, my name is Eddie, and I am co-founder of Envision. Our platform uses cutting-edge AI to make every spoken word and person appearing across all your videos searchable. As a result, companies save hours finding and reusing content, and ultimately become more productive with their videos. If you want to see how Envision can help you be more productive with your videos, please come meet us at our booth. Thank you.
Have you ever wondered why it takes so long for your favorite show to get to your TV? The internet has made it possible for you and I to watch more and more video than ever before, which is great. But most of us don't realize that television is a highly regulated business. Movies and series get made all around the world, but once they are licensed for use in another country, it's the local publisher's responsibility that their contents comply with local laws and regulations before you and I can enjoy them. But did you know that in most countries, videos need to have parental guidance displays clearly visible at the beginning? In others, children are not allowed to be depicted on video riding bikes without wearing a helmet. Some countries do not allow gambling brands or alcohol to be advertised or appear as product placements in a show. And some countries have gone as far as to regulate how genders are portrayed in TV ads to avoid stereotyping. Doing these checks is a slow and inefficient process, largely done today by a small army of moderators. Time and volumes are always against them, and the consequences of doing this work poorly can actually be quite severe. At Visualist, we make visual analysis software that enables compliance reviews to be as efficient as possible. Our solution detects possible breaches automatically using computer vision software and provides a collaborative workflow to make processing of video as frictionless for these teams as possible. And we do this on the cloud. We sell simplicity and convenience for video moderators that live in a chaotic world. By doing this, we drastically reduce the time to approve video files or streams for distribution and empower more and better video to reach you faster than it does today. If you are a video creator or distributor generally interested in learning more about applied AI in the media industry, don't hesitate to get in touch. If you are an angel investor or early stage fund, we are currently fundraising and would love to tell you more about this. Thank you for your attention.
Now imagine that perfect scene where Brad Pitt is kissing Angelina Jolie and there is a sun in the background and a helicopter that just exploded right before. Now to find that scene, video editors and creatives are spending days and nights watching through their hours of their videos. And that's exactly the problem that we're trying to solve, revolutionizing video archiving and editing by allowing you to instantly find and work with those moments in videos, such as objects, shots, keywords, activities, emotions, or people in your videos or libraries. Clients are companies such as NBC Universal and Disney. Our team consists of veterans from the TV industry, and we're currently raising $10 million to bring this technology further in the world. I'm Michael Moss, co-founder and CEO of Promo.me. Please talk to us if you're interested. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anton and I'm a business development manager at 𝗏𝗏. Here at 𝗏𝗏, we operate a personalization engine that focuses specifically on news. As a news provider, you are producing a whole lot of content and you only have a limited amount of space to show it. That's a pity, because on top of that, it's very hard for you to get your readers to subscribe, and it's even more hard to retain them after they have subscribed. The key word here is engagement. You want to keep your readers engaged. 𝗏𝗏 offers news-focused widgets or modules that offer personalized content recommendations to your readers in order to increase acquisition and retention. 𝗏𝗏 is channel agnostic, meaning that we provide these content recommendations on websites, apps, newsletters, and push notifications. We offer our services on an API-based subscription model that integrates easily with your infrastructure. And we are already working with renowned publishers such as MediaMotorEurope in Belgium and in the Netherlands, and 𝗙𝗰 in Italy. And we are now working on expanding, so get in touch.
As I understand this, Petter Ole, this is 5 different issues solved by AI, isn't it?
Yeah. Although I can't know it, I don't know any other way they would do it. No. So I'm pretty sure they do that. And it's quite fascinating to think of what we knew about a video 5 years back and what we can know about the content of a video these days. So I think, and of course there are many people working on this field, both because it's so possible, and also because you can find out so much about the videos, which you then again, in the best cases in my mind, tie to specific needs for potential customers and so on. So it is a beautiful world in terms of thinking what we can do now based on these technologies and what we could do just 5 years ago, right?
And it boils down to what a few of us nerds really get serious about is metadata, because once you have good structured data about your content, you are able to do all kinds of things. Search it, edit it, recommend it, remove it. But you need to know what the content is about and where to find it. And solving that for video is a huge leap forward, because that processing capability of understanding not just text, which was the big issue 2, 3, 4 years back, but video and audio content, which is it's a whole different ball game. So it's really fun to see how the industry has leaped forward.
And I think there's more to come as well. I mean, the prospect of doing real-time AI analytic on live video coming into customers. It's an area which can be done now. Maybe it's a little too expensive at this point in time, but that will change. But that also will make your life different, right? You will get a notification of this finance company burning to the ground, and there's a video of it, and you can publish your story like that.
Yeah, quite possibly, and I can tailor the right content to the right person, knowing their previous preferences and our editorial guidelines.
I would get the crashing down houses.
You probably would, yeah. So that's where I think it gets really interesting, is when you stop caring so much about the technology that's underneath, and you start talking about the use cases for the customer or the user and the business model.
Yeah, because videos are just growing so fast. It's everywhere. Yeah, I mean, 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I mean, it was hard to make a video, but now you can do it in your crabfish.
Yeah. I'd love to talk about my crab camera. This is content for the few, but loved by many.
Yeah. No, but I think that's really important too, is that we are kind of surpassing that point where, we can process video and automatically apply metadata. It's going beyond that, it's possible to, and then what are you going to use it for?
My thing is, and maybe if some of the companies here know about that, because I have an ambition of actually being able to identify and track each crab that goes into the trap, which I release again, some of them, not all of them, and then see if they come back. So if anybody has any great technology for tracking not just horses, but crabs, I'm all game.
So nice. And what you're saying, boy, it's how we use it. There's so many possibilities to use the videos and like Petter Ole here, but there are many new areas. So for these companies, it seems that the amount of videos and the way we use videos can be managed in some way.
Yeah, and also once you have the same sort of basic structure for metadata applied across content of different kinds, whether it's video or audio or text or graphics, and then you can start mashing that around and giving different people different context or the same content to different people. So once you have that same layer across all types of content, there's really only the imagination setting boundaries for what you can do.
And I would point to the other thing is that for some areas, it just makes a production of something to reach a goal so much faster. Shown here, amongst other things. I mean, there are our customers, the media houses, are not interested in spending time on tedious, repetitive tasks if they can focus on the journalism. So any tool that makes that faster and easier would be very welcome in the industry, I'm sure.
Yeah, and anything that even helps these new sort of business areas develop across. I come from a print legacy publisher. I come from text and maybe images. So for us, moving into audio and video is really new, and we don't have the capabilities for transcribing or archiving or recommending across platforms. So anything that kind of enables us to do that without building up a whole TV station kind of setup of people and skills.
Nothing wrong with building a TV station.
There's nothing wrong with building a TV station, unless you're a newspaper.
But it's not just a rumor that journalists has a lot to do.
Journalists have a lot to do, and anything you can do to take away the most boring stuff, I'm all for it.
The other take is that they are very lazy, which is the same thing. But well, some are.
Well, laziness is a good thing.
Yes,
laziness drives the world forward.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Great. Let's have a look at the next 5, because here we can stay for a long time. Let's have a look for the next 5.
How can we make our children to become football stars? Of course, we put them on TV, but that is very expensive. You need a crew and lot of equipment, but not anymore. All you need is your mobile phone and our app, VONLive. With this, you can broadcast local football and other sports and send it live on Facebook, YouTube, and your website. But what about zooming, panning, and extracting the highlights? Forget it. The AI will take care of it. It is a sports-specific app. You have all the graphics and scoreboards to make a professional broadcast, and your children will be the stars. My name is Farouk. With VONLive, you can broadcast live sports from anywhere to everyone. This is a big opportunity to bring local sports into the limelight.
Think back to your last Google search. Google has a massive amount of information, but Google gave you just what was relevant to you. At AI Spotter, we do the same with video, delivering you only the highlights from the video you care about. So many wasted hours of video are never seen, and we don't get the chance to know if it was valuable or not. To do this, you need the right technology. AI Spotter makes it possible to pinpoint the highlights from any camera with any setup instantly from multiple sources all the same time. Stop wasting your time and missing what is important. Start being able to use massive amounts of video to make better decisions and predict the future. And I'm Andri, CEO and founder of AI Spotter. Let's talk, and thank you.
Did you know that after creating 1 hour of video content, it takes up to 10 times longer to annotate and to archive those videos structuredly? This is due to the fact that archiving videos is mostly manual, because current technologies cannot support that because videos are just too complex. We are Design AI. We are a team of 20 AI engineers from the Technical University of Munich, and we have created the first video analysis platform that can analyze videos contextually. And this is how it looks like. Our AI combines video understanding with speech understanding and can therefore detect semantic scenes in the video and summarize what is actually happening in full English sentences. We are looking for a cooperation partner who wants to test out Vizrt AI and who wants to leverage the full potential of their video assets.
How can an army of robots save the free press? Imagine a reporter who can cover every single match of every local sport, always. Or write about every single house sale on every street in every town, all the time. That's what our robots do. And it means you can give your readers local stories that are super relevant to them, stories they will pay for, stories advertisers will pay for. And it frees up time for your reporters to do the real journalism, the stories that are important to your journalistic mission. And it's tried and tested. It works. This is not the future. It's happening today. This is what Helena Tell says. I estimate we'd need 2 extra reporters to do the work the robots do. For us, automation is necessary. I'm Cecilia Campbell from United Robots. Let our robots empower your newsroom.
Hi, imagine doing something really boring for 900 hours every month. That's how much time journalists at one of our customers used to spend putting keywords to their articles. We at 𝗔𝗂𝗃, that's us, we came up with a solution. Our AI system suggests the keywords automatically, and it saves you a lot of time. You can do the same with photos, side boxes, and related articles. And if you have the data, you can also write the whole article automatically from scratch. For example, the Czech news agency uses our system to cover price developments, traffic accidents, and even elections. To sum up, our solution saves journalists time and allows them to focus more on research and content. This means with 𝗔𝗂𝗃, your readers can enjoy a greater number of really good articles. Thank you.
So, Ingeborg, there are a lot of work for a journalist, or is it so that they are lazy? Or it's nice to be lazy?
They are lazy. Well, I think all good professions have to have a little bit of laziness to them, because laziness makes you creative. Taking away the repetitive and boring tasks frees you up for doing more creative things. And I think what we're seeing here is a lot of possible applications for being able to do more really boring stuff than a newsroom would prioritize today through automation or removing boring tasks such as metadata entry. And I think both are really, really valuable. Think of it. I mean, being bored helps helps the world move forward.
There's one element to it too, and in addition to that these computers do not really complain, even if they have to do the same time 10,000 times over. Journalists complains after 2 times, right? So
or not even that.
but what about the quality? I mean, how sure can we be that we have the right information?
I think that boils down to how well you test your data sets or the sources and how well you test the products. But once those testing procedures are in place, a computer or a robot, if you will be more efficient and more or less prone to error than humans. Because believe me, I have seen a lot of journalists putting metadata onto their stories, and there's a whole lot of boring and unimaginative going on.
But it might be an advice I have deeply learned myself. Instead of telling journalists that we can automate them, it's wiser to say that we can help suggest things for you, for instance. If you do the first one, you can end up in a pool like I did, because I suggested that we could in the future do better stories than they could, and then a group of journalists just threw me in a pool, with the phone.
You probably deserve that.
I did not. Yeah, but I think again the boring task, and maybe try to attempt first to say, okay, maybe we're solving 99%, and let the journalist look at the last 1%.
So this means that we maybe can have better journalists, better, or they can do more research, more.
Yeah, keep people for what people are able to do, and let the machines do what machines can do.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good approach to it, because people are still better than machines at being creative, at talking to people, at getting new ideas, making new connections. Machines are incomparable when it comes to repeating the same, more boring, mundane task over and over and over, 24/7, 365. And that's something I would rather not have our journalists do, if that means they could be talking to you as a source.
Absolutely. No, I think that's, by the way, part of being our business was that we removed some very boring, repetitive tasks that tied up people, so they couldn't do visual things on the new breaking plane crash. And by doing that, of course, you got better stories.
What I think, though, is we will see that as the technology for analyzing and applying metadata or generating content from structured data improves, it all comes down to how well do you understand language? How well do you understand people speaking in different ways, slangs, sociolects, when you analyze language or the spoken word? And how well do you understand how to write an interesting text based on structured data? And that's where the future battle is going to be.
That's a field that's not solved, which is there for anybody to pick, I think. But it's tough.
And Peter, this idea about having local sports on your phone and with all the graphics there, is that in your field?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's just this thing that you can just think about it. Before we had a mobile phone with camera, how little do you see? What have you documented of your life before this thing happened? Nearly nothing. But the main thing is that you can now produce very good looking, interesting content without investing much at all. And of course that leads to an enormous increase in production, which again needs more metadata, which again needs
but I think it also opens up the possibilities of creating high quality content for non-publishers, which is really, I mean, I grew up playing soccer and playing in a band, and I had my grandparents live far, far away, and I just know that if my dad had an app on his then non-existent smartphone, my grandparents would have watched every single soccer game.
And he would probably be willing to pay a lot for it as well. So that is so good, and I mean it is a kind of democratization that now you can have so many more people part of doing these things, you know. So
you go from mass publishing to niche publishing, and that might be really interesting.
And we put the stories close to the people who are involved.
Exactly.
And that's
the relevancy of the story.
I guess you'll always have mass media, but you're also opening up a whole new layer of few-to-few media of high quality. Really interesting.
Great. That was the 10 startups in this group, data-driven media industry. And these startups we've seen, they are not brand new. They've been into the market for some time, and they have customers. They have been out there and tried it and proved that they have something exciting going on. So if you are interested and you find something here that catch your attention, please, again, book a meeting. Let's move to the next group. And that's all a new, or another group with a little different approach again. And there are only two. So we move from the largest to the smallest group. And this is the group we call misinformation and fake news. And as I said, only two startups here. Let's have a look at them.
Journalists today are under growing stress. Budget cuts lead to ever fewer journalists who have to produce more content. As a result, the quality of journalistic research is suffering. Varia Research is here to counter exactly that and to enable quality journalism through efficient journalistic research. First, journalists are using our SaaS solution already. They can store all information related to one story in one place. This way, relevant research information can easily be shared with colleagues. Using Varia, journalists benefit not only from a streamlined organization, but also from intelligent insights. Our machine learning-based natural language processing framework enables to discover all relevant aspects and perspectives around your story and have them delivered straight to your dossier. Are you tired of navigating through 50 browser tabs at the same time? Of copy-pasting source links into a Word document? Maybe it's time to take your research routine to the next level. Maybe it's time to start using Varia Research.
More than half of the planet today is online. More and more people are joining the internet as we speak. The risk of misinformation and fake news is increasing as well. So how do journalists navigate in this ocean of information? They have so little time and so much to do. And they have to often balance being precise and being quick to publish. While in other industries, there are advanced tools for research and analysis, like for legal and PR, journalists still use Google. So at Factiverse, we've created a web browser solution that helps journalists to do research and avoid mistakes. It's based on years of research. It is cutting-edge AI, and we also have patented our solution. We've recently raised 6 million NOK and will be raising more the years to come. You can check us out at factiverse.no. Thank you.
So, Ingeborg, how sure can I be that what I read is true?
Well, that depends on where you're reading it. And thankfully, that's hopefully one of the biggest differentiators between journalists and just information around there, is that journalists actually try to do a job before the information gets out to you as the user, to make sure that what we publish is correct and accurate. But there is a whole lot of information around the internet, and things are going incredibly fast, and journalists are working faster and faster. So any tool that helps journalists improve what happens before you press publish, I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity as the social media has lost big time lately in terms of credibility, whereas the established media, the edited media houses, are gaining credibility. People are searching, going directly to trusted sources more than before. But in order to maintain that, you have to maintain your credibility as a publisher in there. And if you do mistakes, which are done again and again on publishing stuff that shouldn't come out there, your credibility is losing. So these tools, I'm without doubt sure, can help in that process of getting the good old edited media into even better positions in the future.
And for me, looking into it, can it also help us to to fight this fake news thing?
Well, the same tools might have an application for non-journalists as well, once you have the technology in place to fact-check the information. So I don't see why not.
Well, that's a good point.
Oh, interesting.
It is a good point, yeah.
Well, thank you. So if you fancy one of these two, you know what to do. So let's just move to the last group. That's, again, 3 pitches. And that's in the group Improved Accessibility and Media Outlets. Let's have a look.
When the European Film Academy learned that Antonio Banderas could not travel to Berlin for the award ceremony, they didn't want to take any risks. So they called Global M. Antonio won European Actor and gave his acceptance speech live from Spain. And this is how we do it. Broadcasting live from smartphones without any loss of quality and the lowest latency. And we do this all over the world using the Global M Intelligent Video Network for streaming over the internet with the shortest possible routes. It works with any SRT compatible equipment and software to send and receive streams point to point or from point to multiple points, up to thousands of receivers. All the benefits of satellite distribution at less than half the cost. I'm Lance Newhart, co-founder and CEO of Global M. Please scan the QR code to visit our website and book a demo. Thank you.
There are many speech-to-text services out there, but none of them offer customization like Scriptix does. My name is Frans Olsthoorn. I'm CEO of Scriptix, and our mission is to make the spoken word accessible to everybody. To do so, we build custom speech recognition models based on your data. These models can generate the most accurate results possible and help create greater inclusion amongst your audience. Broadcasters like TV2, Al Jazeera, and ABS-CBN already use Scriptix to automate subtitles. Will you be the next?
Hello, my name is Niklas and I'm the founder of Streamfire. My mission is straightforward. I want to offer a voice on TV to anybody with a passion and the ability to produce great video. The most popular device for watching online video is a TV set, by far. However, creator content is hardly represented as streaming services fail to include the many. Streamfire switches up everything with a TV network that exclusively broadcasts creator content. We identify relevant niches such as paragliding, and then work with the most talented creators and industry leaders to produce great TV. The result? 10,000 active accounts on Streamfire and an average viewer retention time of more than 40 minutes per visit. The future of television is made by the many. Check out streamfire.com for more.
Just to make up that we were falling down a little bit, we had that technical issue. Don't be afraid of that. We will put everything online just after the session is over, so you will have everything, hopefully. And 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏, here, these three, a little bit different, but the first one was about moving, taking pictures from one place to another.
Yeah, and I think if you guys think of it, that live video from one point to another is one of these last areas that is not really properly solved. It's quite difficult. Let's say if I told you that you're going to film the airplane that crashed earlier, if you remember, right, and send it over to TV2 Norway right here. You wouldn't actually know how to do that unless you called them, agreed upon how that's was supposed to do. And by the time you figure it out, it's a non-story. So every step that's taken that is easier to generate, to get live content in there, is going to make better and more stories. As easy as that.
Yeah, and I think that what we're seeing here is we're seeing a couple of companies that are really targeting what happens between the content producer and the end user of that content, facilitating or making it easier to go live on video or to be in your TV screen or on the large screen in your living room. And there's a whole lot of technical things going on in between there that people don't really notice, but it's really, really hard. So there are definitely some interesting businesses to be made.
Yeah. So, yeah, and you also mentioned this subtitle thing.
Yeah, because I think that is such a real problem, and in most of the, at least Western world, it's governed by law that you're mandated to put on subtitles if you produce something. And so that employs a bunch of people doing really boring tasks. So not let alone to talk about live TV subtitling, which is a real problem for the hearing impaired, visible impaired, hearing impaired, I'm sorry. And this is a real thing, you know. It can be really challenging to solve this completely for all these different languages, but it's the right task to attack.
And again, all three of these possible these companies possibly make it a lot easier for smaller publishers or people who aren't even publishers to become publishers.
Like me,
yes.
Crabcam, my Crabcam.
Yes,
so he has his own crabfish TV channel.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's interesting because that's on the level between the top level. Yeah, so interesting. And now we've seen all these 21 pitches, startups. What is the, if I can ask you, what is the general feeling after seeing them? Are we moving in one direction, or is this just more of the same?
No, I don't think so. I think it's an example that video, which we could do very little other than manual things with before, now we can figure out what goes on there and directly apply that information to where it's going to be used and how it's going to be used. And it's just beautiful. And I think we're just actually scratching the surface on this subject. Resolution becomes better, therefore detection will become better. More video content will be available. It becomes more important to get metadata, not less than before. So I think all this moves in a direction where you will get better and more content in a very good way.
And I think we become more platform agnostic in that you can apply the same logic across text, images, graphics, video, audio, and try to think of the user or the story first. So I think the potential for this technology to bring journalism and publishing forward to sort of better the experience for the end user is potentially really great. Then I will say that we are approaching a point where the technology in itself just seems to be sort of the infrastructure that's there. So building something that's state-of-the-art AI will be a viable business model for a while, but where you will see the really interesting businesses is where you are targeting specific problems somewhere in a workflow or somewhere in a business or for a person.
Because some of the things we've seen might be just be into the toolbox in the next few years.
But I agree completely. This importance of ensuring that this great work that all the companies does, that actually is something the companies can adapt, becomes a key to many at least. So the focus on how the journalist actually works and the things which many companies I've seen today do is very, very key.
Yeah, and I think some of the most interesting and kind of quirky things that you are seeing might actually end up being some of the more lucrative businesses because there might not be a huge audience for it, but the right customers are very willing to pay good money for having something that improves their work experience a whole lot.
So if you should give the last advice, Petrul, to these companies, what could it be?
I don't know. I think it's been fantastic to see this, and I get very eager about new things, no matter what, and this is super cool. I think that it's in the line with what you said actually, which is that, at least in my experiences, the closer you can connect what you do to what is actually a real problem for a real person. Try to understand what is the pain point of the journalist, what is the pain point of a corporate publisher, what bothers them, why can't they do more? I mean, if you dig into that, it's often, in my experience, relatively easily to tie great technology to a very good end usage.
And you'd be willing to pay a whole lot of money to have your crab cam come online, wouldn't you, right?
Yes.
So there you see, it might not have to be a established publisher either. It might be my dad wanting to broadcast my soccer games when I was a kid for my grandparents. People are willing to pay. Those are pain points that make interesting businesses.
Thank you, Per-Ole. Thank you, Ingeborg, for joining in with us and give us their view on your topics. And so now, you startups, now you can relax, just sit down and wait for the phone calls. No, you can't. You have to be active. You have to be there and push the button to try to find people you can connect to. And let's use the midsummer night connecting. Let's connect and let's disrupt the media industry. Have a nice summer and thank you for attending. See you soon.